I'd like to welcome you all to the council meeting. This council meeting is held in accordance with the Strathbogie Shire Governance Rules and Ministerial Guidance Practice Guidelines MGP1 for virtual meetings. Acknowledgement of the traditional owners. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting, and I pay my respects to the elders past and present. Meeting introduction. Until further notice, all meetings inducted by the Strathbogie Shire Council will be held virtual and live streamed on our website www.strathbogie.vic.gov.au. This ensures we are meeting the Victorian Government's social distancing requirements to slow the spread of coronavirus, COVID-19, and help keep our community safe. We encourage all our community members to watch the meeting online, given we have had to close the public gallery until further notice following the legal advice around how to comply with COVID-19 social distancing rules. If we have any technical difficulties today's meeting, which means we are unable to broadcast to the public, we will adjourn the meeting for 15 minutes. If the issue is not resolved after this time, but we maintain a quorum of councillors under our local law, we will continue the meeting. If we cannot maintain a quorum, I will have to close the meeting and we'll call another council meeting to consider the unfinished business on the agenda. Thank you for joining us today. Speaking notes, councillors. Where's the agenda? Sorry, I apologise. 1. Apologies of leave of absence. We have one person who is away from today, and that's Dawn Bray, Executive Manager of Governance and Customer Service. Any other apologies, CEO? Thank you. Okay, disclosures of conflict of interest. Do we have any disclosures of conflict tonight? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, I am declaring a conflict of interest on item number 9.2 as having a quite close working relationship with the landowner.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other conflicts? If not, that's good.
Through you, Mayor, I'll just declare I've got an interest in that ARTC report that's being tabled because I live on the railway line and I have a family business that's in close proximity to the rail line. So I'll just declare that as an interest.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Also, I have an interest in reference to the item, the netball courts. 9.7. I have an interest because I am a member of the Vaulttown Football Club, but I am not on the committee or don't have any representation on the committee of the football club. Any other disclosures? If not, thank you. Confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. Someone like to move that the previous meetings be received? Thank you. Move Councillor Murray, second Councillor Horrigan. All those against? For carried. Thank you. Next one is petitions. Any petitions, CEO? Thank you. Okay, the next one, the reports of Mayor and councillors and delegates. Councillors, do you have any reports you'd like to let us know about? Thank you. Yes, Councillor Murray.
Can I just say that I went to the Friendlies Oval first ball ceremony, I suppose you might call it, on the 9th of July, and attended there as a council representative, along with many other councillors. It was a good turnout, and the local really good out on the first ball, and they began their game. So it was a great looking venue, and lots of work has gone into that recreational reserve. So I commend all those who were involved.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Murray. Any other councillors have reports? Okay. Yes, I actually attended that same event with Councillor Hayes-Burke. It was a great day, and it was good to see all the work done by the local community to make that happen. I want to just take a couple of time to update what I've been up to in the last couple of weeks. First is our advocacy work to close the digital divide between us and the city. As you may be aware, I spoke to the Joint Standing Committee inquiry into the National Broadband Network in December and told them the struggle for internet speed and reliability in the region was unacceptable. Since then, council officers and I have had 2 meetings with NBN CO, and happy to say these discussions have been positive. In most recent was in Violet Town, where NBN co-reps met with the local farmers and members of the local agricultural industry. They were able to share their frustration with dropouts, congestion and slow internet speeds. We have more we have more of these sessions planned, and we're working with NBN Co to make sure we continue to improve our service in our shire. The other one I'd like to mention is to remind all our community that, especially in Nagambie, is that we've got a drop-in day at the Nagambie Lakes Regatta Centre on Monday the 1st of Feb between 3 to 7. This is an opportunity for people to come and speak to councillors, council officers about the planning application to develop a caravan park and camping site at 82 Kerwins Bridge Road. Interested people come along at any time between 3 and 7 and have a discussion with me or any councillor or officer. While I'm on the topic of community engagement, I want to let you know about some plans we have in the pipeline. Council will be holding face-to-face opportunities for locals in each ward in the coming months. You can expect to see us at community markets or maybe just popping up in the main street or park. We want to hear from our community about what matters to them. These face-to-face opportunities will be just one way of sharing your thoughts and feedback, but as ways for us to share important information with our community. We are also about to start recruiting our community forum, which is part of our new approach to community engagement. This is about making sure our community has input into our vision, our direction, our priorities, and how we spend important ratepayers' dollars. I encourage you to stay connected with us through our social media channels, or by the new column we're running in our local papers. We've kept sharing information every way we can on how to get involved. And also, I'd just like to also let the councillors and the community know in Violet Town, I will be at the local cafe every Friday from 1 to 5. So anyone in Honeysuckle Creek Ward, can come and visit me and have a chat to me, except when Collingwood plays on the Friday nights. I do have to apologise for that.
Just on Fridays.
Just on Fridays, yes, thank you. Okay, next is public question time. CEO.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, we have 2 questions for public question time this evening. The first question is from Linda and Michael Tracy, and I'll read their question first. I wish to source information, if any, for the protection of the long-standing eucalyptus trees that have matured intermittently along Wignall Street, Euroa. There appears to be an urban development on the west side of Wignall Street. Wignall Street is an unsealed road with majestic local eucalyptus trees. Increased vehicle travelling over the root zones of these trees has the potential to threaten their survival. Does Council have an action plan to preserve the vegetation of Wignall Street, Euroa? And the answer to this is thank you for your question, Linda and Michael. And further to your inquiry, I can advise the following. Wignall Street is a gazetted road, but while the first section from Kennedy Street, some 90 metres, is on Council's road register, the balance through to Boundary Road South is Crown land, and the responsibility for trees in this area is the responsibility of the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning. Consent for any works within the road reserve needs to be sought through that department. Development on the west side of Wignall Street is occurring for a single dwelling which required planning approval due to the zoning being farm zone. Land on the east is zoned general residential zone and a single house does not require permission for that use. When planning applications are received for developments, they are referred to a number of statutory authorities such as DELP, or the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, who may decide to recommend that council place conditions on a permit. In regard to the protection of the majestic local eucalyptus trees and the increase in vehicles travelling over the root zones of the trees, which has the potential to threaten their survival. This is acknowledged and council has been advised that this is increasing. And we will refer the matter to the appropriate authority, namely the Department of Environment, Land and Water and Planning, for further investigation. How we can proceed to ensure that all community concerns are taken into consideration will need to be tabled via report to council and would need community consultation. And a copy of this letter will be available in the minutes of the meeting. The second question is from Thomas Marr. And the question is, as per tonight's agenda, as per report index of 9.4 planning applications received and planning applications determined, 1st through the 31st of December 2020 on page 55, under application number P 2020-163, page 57, 45 to 85 Boundary Road, South Euroa, staged subdivision for 52 lots, should be brought to council and outline the future development of lot sizes, drainage, including stormwater, curb and channel, footpaths and park lots. What other overlays apply and other services? And thank you for your question, Tom. And the answer is, in response to item 9.4 of the council agenda, please note that the application for stage subdivision at 45 to 85 Boundary Road, South Euroa has been lodged as noted in the applications received list. The application will commence the process of review and request for further information if and as required. Once sufficient information is provided, the application will be notified to all relevant authorities, including internally to Council's Asset Department, for comment and on proposed conditions should a permit be issued. All abutting properties will be notified and a sign on the property, along with relevant application documentation, being placed on Council's website and in our local newspaper column as a minimum. This process informs our planners of areas of relevance and consideration to assess in their full assessment of the application. Should council wish to call the application in to hear the matter, council will follow due process to enable this to occur. In addition, should the application receive submissions whereby there is an objection to the proposal, officers will prepare a council report to be heard before council. As part of the assessment of the application, infrastructure as outlined within your request of council is considered and reviewed against relevant standards and guidelines and forms requirements via permit conditions, should permit issue, for works to be completed and costs to be paid by the developer. The subject site is zoned general residential zone and it's seen as an infill development for residential use. The site is affected by the land subject to inundation overlay, which Goulburn Broken Catchment Management Authority is a relevant authority who will be part of the referral process. And thank you for your question, Tom.
Thank you, CEO. I appreciate that. Okay, councillors. Officers' reports. 9.1, planning application number P 2020-019, use of a development of land for dwelling at 114 Jeffreys Road, Loxley. Director Tingay, can you speak on this, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I just need to dial in a member of the public. Just one moment, please.
Pleasure, thank you.
Hello, Ben. Speaking.
Hello, Ben. It's Amanda from the council. We're just about to proceed with item 9.1.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. The proposal is for the use and development of a dwelling at 114 Jeffers Road, Loxley. The application was advertised and no objections were received. The application is being heard before council due to the proposal being for a dwelling on a lot less than the as of right 40 hectares in the farming zone. The application has not been assessed within the 60-day statutory timeframe due to the delays coming to a council meeting. The proposal meets the objectives of the planning policy framework, local planning policy framework and the farming zone. It is recommended to council that they resolve to grant a permit in accordance with the officer's recommendation for council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director Tingay. Councillors, someone like to move that this recommendation be put forward, please? Move Councillor Murray. Seconded, Councillor Hayes-Burke. Councillor Murray, you have the opportunity to speak if you'd like.
No, formally. No, I don't wish to speak in favour, just formally.
Thank you. Seconder. All right, any other councillors who are for this that would like to speak? Any councillors against? If not, all those in favour, against, declare it carried.
Excuse me, Mayor, I will just advise.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Ben, the motion has been carried. I will now end the call. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Okay, planning 9.2, planning application 2020-140, a two-lot subdivision, use and development of land for a dwelling on 239 Cowles Lane, Euroa. We have a conflict.
Through you, Mayor. I'll be leaving.
Thank you very much, councillor. Okay, Director Tingay, would you like to make a report, summary for the report? Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have some additional new information that has just come to light, but I'll provide a summary of the actual application to commence. So we have an application in for a two-lot subdivision, a house lot excision for the use and development of the land for a dwelling. The site has an area of 24.98 hectares. The site is in a farming zone and is part affected by both the land subject to inundation overlay and the floodway overlay. This application has been referred internally to Council's Asset Services and Environmental Health Departments, who have considered the proposal subject to conditions. The application was also referred externally to the Goulburn Broken Catchment Management Authority, who has consented to the proposal subject to conditions regarding the floor height of the dwelling. The application was referred to APA Gas, who consent to the proposal. An assessment against the farming zone, floodway overlay and land subject to inundation decision guidelines and state and local policies indicates the proposal is consistent with these provisions. The application is being presented to council as the proposal is for the development of a dwelling on a lot less than 80 acres and is also being assessed outside the 60-day statutory time period. The application was advertised to adjoining landowners and today council has received an application objecting to this planning permit. In light of that objection, it is now recommended that an amendment be made to the recommendation, and that recommendation be that council resolve to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit subject to the conditions as outlined in the officer's recommendation. In addition, those amendments to the recommendation include the recommendation, the fourth line, that council decides to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit under the provisions, etc. And that also on the last page of the actual report that council note to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit in line with the guidelines of the report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, would someone like to move this item? Thank you.
Mayor, I would like to move an alternate motion and that is that I move that we defer the permit application for 239 Cows Lane due to the lack of due to the need for councillors to be able to review the objection that has just arrived.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Is there someone like to second that motion? Councillor, excuse me, Haysbert. Councillor Murray, you have the right to speak on that if you like.
Well, I'll just make the point that we only just received the objection, and although I have heard it verbally read to me, I do need to have a look at it in writing and be able to consider the matter before a decision is made. I have there are some concerns about the subdivision that I have, and I need to be able to read the objection and to consider it, and I'm sure that other councillors would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Haysbert.
I'd also like to review the decision and just understand a bit more about the other parcels of land that might be subject to the same scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Is there anyone who would like to talk against this? All right, someone like to talk further about this further? If not, I'd like to put the motion. All those against? All those for? Declare it carried. Thank you. So the matter has been deferred.
Thank you.
Okay, 9.3, requests for a waiver of fees. Planning application 2020-150, development of land for a shed, 33 Finlayson Street, Nagambie. Director Tingo.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is in relation to a request for a waiver of fees for a Vic Smart planning permit application. The planning fees for the proposal to be waived are $199.90. This request has come for the development of the land for a shed at 33 Finlayson Street, Nagambie. This application has been made by the Nagambie Lakes Men's Shed, being a not-for-profit community group. This request is considering to waiver the fees for an application to be lodged, whereby council can make a decision to waiver the fees. This request complies with section 20D of those regulations, as the Men's Shed is currently a not-for-profit organisation, for council's consideration.
Thank you, Councillor. Director Tingo. You can go up to the council chamber yet. Councillor, someone like to move the motion, the Deputy Mayor, and seconded by Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Deputy Mayor Lykos, would you like to speak?
No, I think it's, I'm more than happy to support the men's shed and waive this fee.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dickinson?
I'd just like to commend the men's shed for all the work that they do, not just in the Nagambie ward, but Australia-wide, and this was an easy decision.
Thank you. All right, other councillors like to speak for, against? If not, all those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Thank you. All right, 9.4, planning application received and planning application determined, 1 to the 31st of December 2020. Director Tingay.
Thank you, ma'am. Councillors, 9.4 report relates to the listing of planning applications received and planning applications being determined for the period of 1 to 31st December 2020, provided for councillors and community information. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, someone like to move that this report be received? Moved Councillor Horrigan, seconded Councillor Lykos. Councillor Horrigan, would you like to speak, if you may? Councillor Lykos? Okay, all those, no one else would like to speak on this? Okay, all those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. Now, 9.5, tender for contract number 9/20/44, Mullers Road, Road Reconstruction Stage 2. Director Tingay.
Thank you, ma'am. Reconstruction of Mullers Road Stage 2 has been integrated into Strathbogie Shire Council's Capital Works program for this current financial year, and this being the second stage of the road work that's currently under construction. Through public advertisement in local and national newspapers, Council invited tenders for the work under contract 19/2044 during the period of 13th of November to the 16th of December 2020. Council received 4 tenderers that submitted for this work. These tenders have been assessed and evaluated by council officers, and a summary of results outlined in this report. All tenders were to be found conforming. Having considered the results of the evaluation, it is recommended that council awards the tender to Bitchy Mill Civil Proprietary Limited for a total amount of $505,987.63 plus GST, and advise the tendering parties accordingly of the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, would someone like to move the recommendation as printed? Move Councillor Haysberg, seconded Councillor Haysberg. Councillor Lykos, sorry. Councillor Haysberg, would you like to speak on this issue? Councillor Lykos?
Yeah, I just want to say I think this will be great when it's finished, and look forward to it being completed as a lot of the residents at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillor like to speak for or against? If not, put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare it carried. Thank you. Right, 9.6, tender for contract number 20/21-61, shoulder pavement program, Ewings Road, Avenel and Golden Weir, Murchison Road, Kerwins Bridge. Director Tingay.
Thank you, Mayor. As part of Council's approved budget, selected municipal roads are required to be widened and upgraded to meet current requirements that will improve safety based on current traffic volumes and proposed increase of use for proposed developments. To implement the shoulder pavement program, tender documentation was prepared to public advertisement. Through the public advertisement process in local and state newspapers, council invited tenders for the works for the shoulder pavement program in Ewings Road, Avenel, and Golden Weir Murchison Road, Kerwins Bridge, between the 20th of November to the 16th of December 2020. 9 tenders submitted for the work. These tender submissions have been assessed and evaluated by council officers. All tenders were to be considered conforming. Having considered the results of the evaluation, it is recommended that council proceed with awarding MACA Infrastructure Proprietary Limited the work for a total of $514,676 plus GST and advise the tendering parties accordingly of the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, someone like to move this recommendation? Moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Murray, would you like to speak?
Well, only to say that these are increasingly important roads in our shire, and it's good to see some work being undertaken to bring them up to a higher standard. Thank you.
Pleasure. Councillor Dickinson.
I'll just support those remarks from Councillor Murray. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Any other councillor like to speak for or against? If not, all those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Thank you. 9.7, tender for contract number 20-21-57, Violet Town Netball Multi-Purpose Courts, Design and Construct. Director Tingay.
Thank you, Mayor. As part of Council's approved budget, the existing multi-purpose courts at the Violet Town Rec Reserve has been identified as requiring upgrade to improve safety and achieve compliance with current guidelines for netball and tennis activities. To implement the design and construction of the multi-purpose court, tender documentation was prepared for public advertisement. This advertising was undertaken in local and statewide newspapers where tenderers were invited to submit works for the Violet Town Netball Multipurpose Court Design and Construct. This tender advertisement was undertaken between the 6th of November and the 2nd of December. 2 tenders were received for the works. The tender submissions have been assessed and evaluated by council officers. Having considered the results of the evaluation, it's recommended the council awards the tender to ID Weller Proprietary Limited for a total amount of $309,969 plus GST and advise the tendering parties accordingly.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, the recommendation is printed. Councillor Binks would like to move that way. Councillor, who'd like to second? Councillor Icos. Councillor Binks, would you like to speak on this one?
Just want to say that it's great that we're maintaining our facilities, and it will be great to get out and play some rounds of netball on the new tennis courts.
Thank you. Councillor Lycos.
I agree.
That's great. Okay, any other councillor like to speak for? Against? All right, all those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. (9.8) Tender for contract number 9/20-43 Longwood Ruffy Road, Tacoma Road Reconstruction Stage 2. Director Tingay.
Thank you, Mayor. As part of the Fixing Country Roads funding program, Council was successful in receiving funds for the reconstruction of the Longwood Ruffy Road Tarcombe. These works will be conducted by replacing the existing degraded pavement, widening, levelling off of the shoulders and renewing the swales that provide improved drainage during the inclement months. The implementation of the road construction tender documentation was prepared for public advertisement. This advertisement was undertaken between the 6th of November and the 2nd of December 2020 for the Longwood Ruffy Road, Tarkham Road reconstruction stage 2. As part of the advertisement period, 6 tenderers submitted for the works. The tenders have been assessed and evaluated by council officers, and a summary of the results is shown within this report. Having considered the evaluation results, it is recommended that the council that the tender submission be received and noted, and that the tender be awarded to Recivil Proprietary Limited for a total amount of $652,422 plus GST, and advise the tendering parties accordingly. Sorry, Mayor.
That's okay, Director. We do get tongue-tied occasionally.
Thank you.
As I do quite often, so no problem there. Councillor, would someone like to recommend this? Okay, Councillor Murray, seconder. Councillor Horrigan. Okay, Councillor Murray, would you like to speak?
Finally, that these roads have been a little bit notorious in terms of needing some work to be done, and it's good to see that we've got some funding which has enabled us to address some of these issues on our roads. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Horrigan. Okay, would anyone else like to speak for or against? If not, all those in favour? Against, declare it carried. Thank you. 9.9, tender for contract number 20/21-60, Avenel Ewings Road and Livingston Street intersection upgrade. Director Tingay.
Thank you, Mayor. Future commercial and residential development towards the Avenel Township has triggered an upgrade to the intersection at Ewings Road and Livingston Street Avenel to ensure the safety of vehicles due to the forecast increase in traffic volumes. This work is budgeted as part of Council's Capital Works program for the 2020-2021 financial year. This work was advertised in local and national newspapers, and council invited tenders for the works under contract 20/21-60 between the 20th of November 2020 and the 23rd of December 2020. 5 tender submissions were received for these works. The tenders have been assessed by council officers and subsequently evaluated, and all were found to be conforming. Having considered the results of the evaluation, it is recommended that council proceed to award the tender to Anthony T. Lindsay Proprietary Limited for a total amount of $153,175 plus GST, and advise the tendering parties accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Okay, councillors, someone like to move? Councillor Murray. And someone like to second it? Councillor Dickinson. Okay, Councillor Murray, would you like to speak on this one, please?
Can I just say that I think that some of the residential development in Avenel around this site has led to increasing traffic flows around this corner, which is in need of some redevelopment or redesign. And I think it's pretty essential for the community, being just opposite Jubilee Park there in the centre of town, that it be nice and safe and compliant for the needs of the community. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dickinson. Okay, any other councillor like to speak for or against? If not, all those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. 9.10, mid-year budget review. Director Ralph.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the mid-year budget review is something we do each year, and in March of April of a particular year, we do the budget and try and predict the result at the end of June. And once that date passes, we have an audit, and then we have to go back and adjust for any changes that have been picked up in the audit. Some of those include end-of-year entries, which are not necessarily cash, but we have to do them because the accounting standard requires us to, and then we make adjustments in the following year. The overall impact of this mid-year review is an improvement in the cash position of the council by about $268,000. Some of the things that impact that are unspent capital works at the end of June, which we need to carry over into the current year. Grants that we might have received after we've done the budget. And then a review of the current year's expenditure, both operating and capital, to try and predict where it's going to land at the end of June. So the summary of some of the things that contribute to that are included on page 100 of the report. And there are adjusted income statement, balance sheet, cash flow and statement of capital works, which is our best estimate of where the current financial year might end up. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Just out of clarification, did COVID affect us much in our operation with the budget?
In terms of rate collections, which was one concern, at the end of June, we'd actually pretty much had the same outstanding balance as we'd had the previous year. So we didn't see any increase in arrears. Our actual direct expenditure on COVID was mainly to do with things like masks and sanitizer and things like that, which in the context of the whole budget was pretty immaterial. So overall, it didn't have a huge impact. Plus, we have had access to some grant funds that have helped us to, activate spaces and things like that. So overall, I think, there's been a challenge for the staff generally, but I think they've managed very well.
Okay, thank you, Director. Okay, councillors, there's a recommendation being put forward. Would someone like to move that, please? Councillor Hayes-Burke, seconded. Councillor Binks. Councillor Hayes-Burke, would you like to make a comment if possible? Okay. Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Binks. Okay, any other councillor would like to make a comment for or against?
I just want to say well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. All right, councillors, all those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Thank you. 9.11, the Australian Rail Track Corporation. Director Tingay.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to continue to inform our community of Council's ongoing role with the Australian Rail Track Corporation Limited, ARTC, Inland Rail Project. It is necessary to continue to emphasise our support for the Aroa Working Group and also the broader community. We are advocating to ensure a best practice community engagement approach is implemented by the ARTC in the next phase of the project. Following a meeting with Dr. Helen Hayes, member for Indi, attended by well in excess of 60 people from the Aroa community, it is proposed that Council strongly advocate to the ARTC for further community engagement. We believe a deliberative engagement process is needed to provide ARTC and ACOM with a clear direction on the design following the completion of the urban design framework. The recommendation as printed on page 107 is for Council's consideration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Director. Councillor, someone like to move this recommendation as printed? Thank you. Councillor Hayes-Burke, seconded. Councillor Horrigan. Councillor Hayes-Burke, would you like to speak? Thank you.
I would just like to say that the impact of this inland rail project are very far-reaching, and I think that the rail precinct in Euroa deserves true consideration by the ARTC, even by our small but very mighty community in Euroa, and just to let the working group and the community know that Council is behind them in supporting their interest in getting the best outcome.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Horrigan.
Through you, Mayor, I'd like to encourage the community to take up the ARTC's offer when they are around and when they are engaging, and to really approach them and let them know what you would like to see and what's important for you, and that's the community as a whole, to really get out there and let them know, because this is our opportunity to for your voice to be heard. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other councillors like to speak for? Against? If not, all those in favour? Okay, I declare that carried. Thank you. 9.12 Business Management System. CEO Solomon.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. This is our monthly business management system report that just includes statistics across a range of different areas, business areas of council, from building department planning applications, customer service inquiries, waste management reporting, etc. And I do encourage the community, Mr. Mayor, to actually read and understand some of the business considerations that come across council on a monthly basis. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO. Councillors, someone like to move this motion? Councillor Murray. Someone like to second? Councillor Hayes-Burke. All right, Councillor Murray, would you like to speak on this motion?
Thanks, Mayor. I'd just like to say that we do have some concerns about the nature of the ageing customer inquiry requests that are highlighted in this report, and that we are working hard to bring those up to a more acceptable standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Councillor Hayes-Burke. Any other person would like to speak on this report? Or against? If not, all those in favour? Against? Declare it carried. Thank you. Notice of motions, CEO? No notices. No notices of rescission? No. Okay. Urgent business? No. Okay. Confidential business? As reported in the agenda, it's okay. Thank you. That's it. Yeah. So, confidential business, yes. Okay. Do apologise to people watching. We do have to close the meeting tonight to do some confidential business. So I'd like to thank you for watching us and enjoy your evening. Thank you. And we'll come back after we've had our little confidential discussions. Thank you.